this is Lakshmi Manchu. Are you ready to coming back to life? The internet is full of memes and jokes about 2020 being the worst of them all. Yeah, it's been a tough year so far. But we've had all kinds of tough years before. Remember when Kattappa killed Bahubali in 2015 and your life lost meaning for a while? And then Bahubali 2 came and everything made sense again. Yes, that's going to happen with us soon too. Welcome back to another episode that is just designed to channel all your energies into a more hopeful tomorrow. And today's session is dripping with pure talent. We have two men from two different ends of the globe making history in their work. My first guest is someone I'm so proud to call my friend. His movies have successfully transcended the limitations of language and genre over and over. The brains behind cinematic experiences like Bahubali and Iga. He's the filmmaker that the biggest names in the country will give their right hand to work with him. My second guest today is also a gifted filmmaker and has a joy about him that is just infectious. His legendary partnership with Adam Sandler has kept cinegoers entertained for a long time now, with cult comedies like Blended, The Wedding Singer, and Around the World in 80 Days to his credit. And personally, I have really started to enjoy his tweets during this lockdown a lot. Please welcome ace filmmakers who always have something interesting to say, SS Rajamouli and Frank Coraci. All right, welcome back to my show, Coming Back to Life with Lakshmi Manchu. Rajamouli garu, so good to see you. Welcome back to life, really, after COVID. How was your last 2 weeks? First of all, meet Frank. Frank meet Rajamouli. So hi, this is epic right now. What's happening?
Rajamouli, it's an honor to share the screen with you guys.
Yeah, really, the pleasure is all mine, Frank. Very nice.
No. We're not going to go there. The pleasure is all mine. You're a master.
He saw Bahubali recently and he could not stop raving about it. He was like, "What is that movie? Who is this director?"
Epic. You do it all too. You coordinate. You direct. You're amazing. You're a man of every trade. But it was brilliant and beautiful. It's what I dream of movies to be, and you did it, man. You do a beautiful thing.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks for the movie.
How are you doing, Andy? I know it's exactly the 14th day. I've been counting since we found out. How are you doing? How's your health?
Yeah, all of us are very good. I mean, my whole family got infected, but luckily it was a very mild infection. I mean, the 2 weeks are over and we got the testing done. No symptoms. All the tests came negative. So we are good to go back.
So you had it for 2 weeks and then you're over it already?
Yes.
You are very
That's the reason we didn't shoot earlier, because he wasn't well. And then 2 days later, it was, he tested positive.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
well, thank God
and I know Frank's dad was admitted in the hospital and he came home just yesterday.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. It was a rough 3 weeks. So it can be very harsh. The virus can be really
I think
terrible.
the strain that especially we got in Telangana has been like kind of light. Like it's touch and go for some people, really. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So both of you have a pen and paper next to you, right?
Yes,
we're just getting warmed up. Okay.
All right. You want Sharpie or you want ink? What's easier?
Whatever. You just have to read it out to me later. So,
okay. All right.
Yeah. So the first thing is usually I do a gibberish round, but with amazing directors like you, I can't do this. So the first game
I'm not above gibberish.
So I made it easier. So I'm going to give you a letter. And you have to come up with a name, place, animal, and film. First letter is P, the letter P.
As in Peter.
You got the name. Now get an animal.
And we need, what do we need? We need a
name, place, animal, movie.
Okay. They don't have to all be together though. Like
No, but no. Wow, you have to make a pitch with those letters with the name. Like, no, I'm not going to go that hard.
Okay.
Oh wow, Rajamouli
I'm
said
done.
okay.
I'm
All
done
right,
too.
let's go.
I'm done.
So go, Frank. What do you
Okay.
have for P?
Peter, you want all four?
Yeah.
Peter, Panda, Portugal, Papillon.
Papillon. Wow.
Yeah.
You came up with all the coolest names. Portugal. Wow.
Yeah.
Rajamouli Garu,
Yeah, mine is Polamma, name. Yeah, Polavaram is the place.
Yeah.
Animal is the parrot. I mean, if parrot still counts as animal,
Yeah, that's an animal.
I will give you that.
Yeah, Peter Pan.
Oh, nice.
Ah,
All right. So I was particularly excited about today's episode because I'm very interested to know in both your minds' work as filmmakers, you know. So I always say, and I have been saying that no matter what the distance is, we as humans have so much in common than we give ourselves credit for. You know, it doesn't matter how far and how separated we are. So I have 3 questions for both of you to talk about. So I want to hear you note swap. So that's what this segment is called. So one thing I found common in both of you is that you both repeat your actors. You know, is that a conscious decision, or is it something that, oh, the script just wants them? But I see that repeatedly you have the same actors, both of you. Frank.
yes. Well, I enjoy once you have a trust and a collaboration with somebody, it's something nice because it's almost like a relationship you can build on. And the more you know somebody, it's almost like the deeper you can go with them. Obviously, I did a lot of movies with Adam Sandler, and over the years, you know, we grew up. As we grew up, our movies maybe grew up a little, and you know, his dad had passed away after we had done The Wedding Singer, The Waterboy, and I think it was at the time. And then he had done a couple movies without me. I did something with a couple without him, and then he reached out to me because it was a very important emotional movie for him when we did Click. And it was sort of it had to do with that. So I think he trusted me more. And I think it's the same thing. I like to pick people that it's just you have a good rhythm with somebody and you learn to trust each other.
They finish your sentences. You don't need to, like, you know what I mean? Like the relationship on set.
Yeah, you don't have to like learn where you don't have to like that getting to know you period's already there. So you're starting at like on that kind of level. But it's always nice to mix in new people and it changes the chemistry and, you know. But I find it to be, it's a blessing too. You get to work with people that you're friends with too, for me.
And you, almost similar in a way. When you start working with people, you're with each other for a year, continuously with each other. So you get to know each other better. You become friends. And when you're writing your next script, automatically the actors keep coming into your mind. So it's almost a subconscious decision. The script almost takes the path of the actors that you know who fits into that role.
Both of you know me pretty well. Rajamouli Garu, Frank has said in an interview that as a director, you have to be 3 things. You know, you have to be a filmmaker, a therapist, and a politician. What are your thoughts on that? Do you agree with that statement?
Obviously, you have to be a filmmaker to be a filmmaker. That's the first one is obvious.
Sometimes you gotta state the obvious.
The second one, what was the second one?
Politician and a therapist.
Therapist. I don't know whether you have to be a therapist, but you need a lot of therapy. You need to take a lot of therapy when you are making it. That's for sure. And politician, again, in a way, if you take the patience as a quality of a politician, you need to be really, really patient to be a filmmaker.
Yeah. And Frank, why did you say that? Where were you coming from?
Well, I mean, I it's funny. I thought when he was going to answer the politician part, I feel like Bollywood, once you're doing it, they let you do your thing. I feel like with the whole system and everything, it's like you have a lot of powerful forces in Hollywood. You have a movie star, you have the studio, you have another movie star, you have a powerful producer, and part of your job is kind of keeping everyone at bay, keeping everyone happy, but still getting the movie that you see in your head. So in that way, I mean, a politician. You have to
I agree. It's the same thing here, Frank. Not much different. So you have
Except
lots.
Rajamouli will get away with anything. He just has to look at it and it'll come. It'll happen. So it's you and me, Frank, that had like mere mortal filmmakers like us that have to go through all what you just said.
No. It's not that I don't have forces. There are a lot of forces to contend with. Everyone has to face them. The way I deal with it is like being patient, being or stubborn, whatever you say.
He's stubborn.
Yeah.
I find I have to have a balance between, when you really want something, you have to dig your heels in, but you have to know how to sort of
when to dig your heels.
Arrogance never worked for me as a filmmaker. I'm just not my personality, and so I sort of always have to make people feel good about what they're getting and make some concessions, but really you hold on to your vision. I mean, that's the hardest thing about being a director. Whether it's the weather that comes or the money that's not coming, it's like you have to try to keep that vision on track as close as you can to what you imagined, and it's a bunch of compromises, but you try to minimize the compromises that it doesn't take your vision out of what you imagined when you dreamed up the movie.
Yeah,
that is so important.
Agree with that, Jon, Frank. Because see, when we are making a film, it is very, very important to have a happy, courteous, cordial relation on the set. You cannot have an ill-tempered people around you and still make a good movie. It cannot happen. So sometimes we have to let go of certain things to have that nice atmosphere on the set. That is the most important thing for getting a good product out.
I learned a really good trick I'll never share with anyone. It's my secret. I'm just going to share with you guys and be on the show. But because a lot of times I find this, whether it's a producer or somebody, they just want to be heard. And sometimes you'll have a producer that doesn't have many good ideas, and they bring you a lot of ideas. And what I learned a long time ago is the minute they have one idea that you like, every time they're on the set, you remind them about the idea that they gave you that saved the movie. I don't need to give you any more ideas. It always works for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
And make sure you credit them for that idea, because that's what they want.
Yes. We really should credit, however small it is, and whoever it comes from. We should always credit the people who came up with an idea or a solution or whatever. It's very important.
I'm just selfishly doing it so they leave me alone, though.
Yeah, you want to be left alone, man. Yeah, I feel you. This is so important because, as celebrated and successful directors you all are, people think everything is easy for you. And hearing you say what you say, the struggle is the same no matter if it's a tiny movie or a big movie, but how you deal with it and treat it and go forward with it is the whole thing. And at Beverly Hills Playhouse, Milton Katselis would always say, your attitude monitors your talent. There are a lot of talented people in this town, but check your attitude when you're on set, So that's very, thank you for sharing your secret, Frank. That was very nice of you. Frank, once Rajamouli Garu said in one of his interviews that he's a great storyteller, but he doesn't feel like he's a good filmmaker, and he says he feels confident when he's telling a story, but he's always doubtful when he's directing that story. What do you think of that? And does that happen to you?
You're asking me if what he said, I think?
Does that happen to you? And do you see where he's...
I feel like maybe I'm the inverse. I hope I'm a good storyteller, but I usually feel like the filmmaking part is the easy. To me, it's like to get a great script. Once you have the great script, the filmmaking part for me comes more naturally. And I think the harder work is to make sure you're telling a great story. So maybe I'm the inverse a little bit.
Ah, and why did you say that, Rajamouli garu? Like, what do you think? Because you write your own stories, and suddenly you
No,
feel, how can I?
no, it's not about writing stories. I rarely write my story. It is my father who writes most of my stories. I'm
That's
just
cool.
talking about the narration part. Right from my childhood, I have been a storyteller. Whether the stories I read from Amar Chitrakadas or the stories that have been narrated to me by my grandmother, whatever. When I narrate my stories, I already always had my audience in rapt attention. Whether it's my friends in school, whether it's my friends in my college, or my family
Really?
members. Yeah, always I had their attention. It came very naturally to me, telling a story. I never pause, I never think, it just flows out when I narrate a story. But the moment I step on a set, everything is a question mark for me. The moment I think of
Really?
one shot, is this right? Should I go tighter? Should I go longer? Should I include more people? Should I include lesser number of people? Should I cut more? Should I cut less? I
Wow.
am never ever sure. The doubts keep on coming, keep on coming. So I keep on shooting until I can't shoot anymore. That is because I'm not sure of myself.
It's
Uh,
can I?
that's the
I'm going to
reason I said
comment.
that.
When I see your movie, the one thing that really impressed me, I thought this is in the hands of a very confident filmmaker. Because when I see a movie, I kind of can feel right away. But what you get is amazing and powerful, and I was like, the camera's in the right place. It's funny, we have a slightly similar style. You like your big wide lenses a lot,
Yeah,
you like
yeah.
to move the camera similar to me, and I was whatever's happening in your head isn't happening on screen, because on screen what you end up with is a very confident movie. The
Yeah.
filmmaking is very, very strong.
Then I'm a very good cheater. Then I'm somehow convincing people that I'm a very confident filmmaker.
Because it's working.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
it's
working.
working. Keep having those doubts. My next segment is, it's called the Quarantine Shine Quiz. So we'll go through these questions as quickly as possible, just to understand more of what if you've really learned anything this quarantine or nothing. But I really wish I was sitting with both of you and having this conversation. But however, given this current situation, it's you cannot deny that it's been strangely transformative for all of us, in some way or the other, just being with yourself for so long. So trying to understand more of you through that. So my first question is, as quickly as possible, tell us what your day used to be like when you were shooting or out on set, as compared to what it is now, because you're in this lockdown.
Do I go first?
Go, Frank. Go
All
first.
right. What my
Because
day used to be
LA right
like.
now is very scary. Because LA right now
But
is very
the thing
scary.
about being a director is it's very cyclical. So it depends on what stage of your life you're in. Production, you're just constantly interacting with people from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to bed, and you're just physically in contact with so many people. And it was suddenly being isolated. It just, I only saw me and my girlfriend for 4 months, and I found it to be not the worst thing, because I had no distractions. I had to look within, and it got me to be really creative, and it made me. I have a harder time sitting down and writing, and during the pandemic, I've been able to write, because it's not like there's anything out. You know what FOMO is? There's no FOMO because there's nothing going on. FOMO is fear of
No
missing out,
FOMO.
right? I
Yeah.
wasn't missing anything, so I was like, I was able to really focus. I started meditating. All these things I try to do, I was doing more. But yeah, I think it made me able to kind of focus and not get distracted. In a weird way, I've been living much healthier. I
Ah,
want things to be back to normal for everyone, but it's not. Yeah, what matters seems to matter. I understand what matters. What's important matters more now. You start to really see the difference of what you had before, and like, oh, it wasn't really worth that much time to go to that Hollywood Hills party when I could be writing a script, or it's the freedom of going is what I miss. The freedom being like, what, tonight I'm going to go, and just human contact. I'm a hugger, so.
Rajmouli, what was your day like?
So once the lockdowns were enforced, my timing didn't change much. I mean, I get up early in the morning, 5:30, 5:36, and I sleep at the same time, 9:30, 9:30, 10. So the amount of working hours are the same. It's just that before that I was working on the set. Now I'm exactly now during the lockdown time, I was doing a little bit of the household work, then sitting and writing some stories or thinking some stuff.
Wait a minute. Household work. Ding!
Yes.
I heard household work.
Yeah.
What did you do? Did you cook, clean?
No,
What is it?
cleaning. No, I'm not a kitchen person. I don't like to do anything with cooking, but I'm more of a cleaning person. I sweep, swab, dust. I mean, all of our family, we live in a smaller house. So each of us take one room and we take care of that room.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it.
That is because Frank, in India we have a plethora of help at home and maids and servers and butlers. So I locked and quarantined 7 people in my house. We had 2 of us, me and my daughter. But it was like, you need the cook, you need the cleaner, you need the sweep. So when he says that, it's a big deal. Frank's going, I do that every day of my life.
No. I had a really interesting thing because I have a house cleaner twice a week, right? Monday, Friday. And look, you can't help over the years. I'm like, oh man, I wish she was just better. She doesn't clean every little corner. And I always like in my head, I'm like, I could be like, oh, come on, you can work harder. And then when we had the lockdown, we didn't have her for 3 months, I think.
Wow.
And the minute I had to try to mop the floor, I'm like, it took me all day to do one task, and she does the clothes, the beds, and like, how does she do everything in like 5 hours? I'm like, this is impossible. And so now I'm like, oh, I feel like I underpay her. Like, I need to give her a raise. She's back, and I'm like, yeah, it's. I couldn't realize. I mean, she obviously organized it. It was so much harder, her job. I have such respect for her now because I had to juggle it with me and my girl, and we were like, we couldn't get everything done in a week that she does in a day.
Yeah, that's interesting. That just looking and appreciating what we had before, even the slightest, smallest things that we took for granted. 2 discoveries you made about yourself, one good and one not so good. Rajamouli garu.
Yeah, I mean, there is. Like I said, there is not much difference for me before and after lockdown. So there is not much of discovering or anything. The life has been the same. It is not much different, definitely. So really? I didn't discover. Yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting. And for you, Frank?
I could survive the apocalypse. I started a tomato garden. I can cook anything from scratch now. I like to cook before, but now it's like I was like making bread because we couldn't get bread for a while that easy. And then I'm like, we couldn't get yeast. And then I figured out how to make bread without yeast. I'm like, I kind of was like, this is kind of cool that I can do all these things. So I actually really enjoyed cooking before, but now I realize I can actually make things from scratch, which was really kind of a fun thing.
That's good.
What did I find out bad about myself? That even when I have, there's nothing going on, I can't go to bed early. I'm the worst.
I would be messaging you at 3 o'clock. I know, I would be messaging you at 3 p.m. India time.
And I'd be up early at 8 o'clock, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, what are you doing? Up so late. Oh, that's nice.
My brain, when I wake up.
Yeah. And 2 movies that you saw during this lockdown, that you would recommend that you really thought, wow, this is cool.
Okay, I got to think for a minute.
Or shows, what you saw.
Oh, TV shows too, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching American Gods, and it's blowing my mind. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. I saw that the way Neil Gaiman is the author who writes kind of weird stuff. He was in Iceland, and he saw a relief of, or a diorama of Leif Erikson coming to America. And he just had this idea that when Leif Erikson came, the Vikings, did he leave some of his gods behind? Because they stopped here and had a hard time and then moved on. And it's the idea that the gods got left behind, and now in modern day, there's these. It's so creative. It's one of the most creative shows I've seen. So
really,
yeah,
that's
blows
awesome.
my mind.
American Gods.
You guys will both love it because it's like visually stunning and the acting's great and it's just a wonderful show. Yeah.
Lovely. Rajamouli garu, anything you saw that you were like so impressed?
Yeah, I have been seeing many shows and films. Like everyone else, Money Heist and Blacklist were very good. I liked them. I saw a Malayalam film called Trance.
Yeah.
Fahad Fazil was like stunning, absolutely stunning. The lead actor was too good. I fell in love with him. And after seeing many series and films halfway through, shutting them down, me and my wife went back to one of our favorite shows, Monk. Yeah, we are thoroughly enjoying it the second time as much as we did the first time.
This was so fantastic, really. And with this, we come to our last segment, which is called the Hope Minute. You know, so I want both of you, because we got a lot out of what you went through and how you're dealing and maneuvering and bouncing back. But having said all that, you know, here I am sitting in my office and doing this, and I can't wait to be on a set, and I can't wait to go back to the normal that we knew as it used to be. But that's going to be a while since we see that happening. So I want to ask both of you what a hope message from both of you at the end of it, and for a minute I want you to tell us how we can maneuver and go over and go past these obstacles that we have right now. So Frank, you want to take over?
Sure. I mean, look, the thing that I've been trying to get out of this, and the thing that I hope collectively that the world gets, is we kind of had it all, and we didn't maybe always realize. I try to always be grateful, but you couldn't be grateful enough to realize the idea of hugging someone might not be something you can do every day now. The idea of being collective in a group at a stadium, at a sporting event, at a music event, cheering together, high-fiving, hugging. You know, I think what I hope is we realize what we had, and if we get it back, even maybe it won't come back exactly the way we had it, we appreciate it so much more. Our life was so precious, and it still is, and we have to just not take things for granted. Just cherish everything that we had, and even what we have now. If this is all we have, this is amazing. It could be way worse.
Yeah, true. I agree. Thank you, Frank. And Rajamouli garu?
I don't know. I don't know whether I read it somewhere or someone was telling me every big world-changing event at the onset looks it has caused a lot of damage, but as the days progress, it also causes. I mean, many good things also come out of it. Like they were saying, for an example, World War II, which caused millions of deaths. God knows how much of property loss and all that. It's a major catastrophe at that point of time. But what happened was, during that time, the soldiers everyone had to join the army. Many people had to join the army, and they had to fight shoulder to shoulder on the front line, right? Then you don't care the person who is beside you is a black, is a white, is a what race he belongs to, what is his social status, what is his economic status. No, he's your brother. You had to do that for a long time, and eventually it brought down the racism or the class difference to a large extent in Europe. Same time, when all the men went out to do the fighting, the women had to go and work in the factories, and they had to work a lot of jobs that men were doing before. And not only the women realized that they can do the job as good as the men, and even the employers realized that women are doing the job better or sometimes equally, or sometimes better than the men. And it suddenly it brought an equality between men and women in Europe. No one ever foresaw that. No one ever thought that World War could bring that kind of social change in the society, but it did. There are many examples. Every time a major catastrophe happened to the world, some good came out of it. So if you ask me what kind of good is going to come out of this corona pandemic, I don't know, but I'm sure there is something that will come out of it.
That is hopeful. That was really insightful and special. And I can't thank you both enough for obliging me and doing this for me, because as creative people, I can't sit at home, but I'm trying to make the best of the situation. And for me, it's always about seeing the glass half full, and trying to be able to create out of nothing. And this is out of nothing. This was an idea that was in my brain, and I don't know how I thought I could pull people from different parts of the world doing the same thing, but here I am, dreams into action, and dreams do come true. And this for me is a real blessing, and I'm sure everybody watching this also will get so much out of it. Thank you so very much. And Frank, sorry I had to
Thank you for doing this. It's beautiful what you did. Thank you for this.
Thank you, Lakshmi, and very nice meeting you, Frank.
Same here. It's an honor to meet you.
I will share your numbers to each other,
please,
so you can keep in touch. Yeah, I'll share your numbers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
आज ही सब्सक्राइब कीजिए southbay.live